I'll just wait for other people to keep joining in. So let's get started with my first thing. So let me just introduce myself. Hi, I'm Shrikala. By the way, this is also there on YouTube Live. So all those people who are joining us from YouTube, welcome. Giving a little background about myself. Hi, I'm Shrikala. I'm the co-founder of Crackable. We've been helping students for their GMAT, GRE, and applications, MBA application consulting for over a decade, more than a decade now. And we've helped over 30,000 students, and the count is still on. And prior to my entrepreneurship background, I was in the technology industry. And yeah, so now I completely focus on mentoring and helping students getting into their dream B schools. So that is a little bit about myself. Aman, you want to just introduce yourself too? That'll be awesome.
Right. Sorry, somehow my camera just got disabled. I'm just trying to figure out.
Easy.
But thanks for inviting me here. As you mentioned that I work at Gyandhan. We started Gyandhan back in 2015. It's been almost 9 years for us for helping students with financing. On the broader level, what we are trying to build is primarily a one-stop solution for the students when it comes to uh, financing, so that you don't have to sort of go to banks, and you get complete visibility around all the competition upfront itself, so that there is no sort of surprises later in the journey. As Shrikla mentioned, let's talk about it more through the session. Very excited to be here, and again, thanks a lot for inviting me.
Awesome. Thanks, Aman. All right, so let's get Ritika on. Ritika, maybe you would want to introduce yourself too, and definitely we'll talk more about your journey over the course of this present or seminar.
Sure. I was an IT engineer. I was a software engineer back in India before coming here to Foster for my MBA. I started my IT journey back in 2016. Feels a lifetime ago. In 2016 at Wipro, then I was there for a year or so, and then I moved on to Newgen, where I had the opportunity to work on a lot of well, I would say upcoming technologies like blockchain. So I was heading the blockchain. I was working in the blockchain COE team. So a lot of great opportunities. And when I realized I want to work more on product side of the things and wanted to learn more. So I decided to get my MBA, got in touch with you, got immense amount of help, and here I am for my MBA.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Ritika. Sakshi,
Thanks.
introduce yourself too.
Yeah, so hello everybody. I'm a second year student currently studying at Wisconsin School of Business. And prior to my MBA, I had like 4 years of experience working in fintech industry. So even I'm a computer science engineer. I worked in TCS for almost 3 years and then moved to UBS. And in UBS, I got a chance to work on some of the interesting products as a product owner. My role was more focused onto the technical side of product management, and I wanted to move more onto the business side and customer facing end. So decided to pursue my MBA, and yeah, here I am currently studying my MBA. Over the summer, I interned at Qualys as a product manager, and still hoping to join Qualys after my MBA, and currently exploring some other opportunities as well.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Sakshi. All right, so let me just get started with talking about the whole financing thing, and that's the whole session is all about, right? So let me just touch upon what we are going to focus on in this session. So one is we are completely going to focus on how much does the MBA cost. And the whole idea about this session is most of us, when we go through this whole process, there is a lot of anxiety because there's a lot of fear of unknown. And that anxiety comes because of the fear of unknown, right? So my focus over here through this session is to give you an idea on how you could plan this better, how you can plan, and what are the other investments that come in when you're looking at an MBA. How do we financially plan for this? and what are the other opportunities that you get during your MBA where you can kind of map this. And I've got Sakshi and Ritika especially on this session to give us those insights, because they are current students and they are going through this process themselves, and they will be able to talk about their experiences and what are the other options that they have seen either in their school or other schools or generally in their community also, right? So that's pretty much what we are going to focus on today. So, all right, so let's get started. So here are the top, a little bit of background about Crack Verbal. So we've been in this industry for over 15 years now, and help students get into top schools. And we are extremely proud of our entire alumni community. And what is really, I'm really grateful for this. Both Sakshi and Ritika, for example, they were just a message away. I just had to message them, and they were, happily. And I know it's 1 o'clock and midnight for both of them, but they are still here, absolutely energetic to contribute to this session. So thank you so much, guys, and and hope to get any of you guys who are planning for their MBA also in this list very soon. So, all right, so let me get started. So here is my topic of the day. We are going to talk about tuition fees. We are going to talk about living experiences, living expenses. We are going to talk about scholarships, and we are going to talk about the loan financing aspect of it also, right? So that's pretty much what we are going to focus on. So before I get started, I would like to hear on the chat for all those people who are already kind of listening to us. And first of all, thank you guys for being here on a Sunday morning. I know you would rather sleep. Sunday might be the only day where you get the time off. But yeah, I mean, it's all your zeal to attend this session itself shows that you're all pumped up for your MBA journey, right? So before we get started and before I get on to the expenses part and the cost part of it, maybe on the chat window for all those who are listening can just type in on what do you think is going to be the average fee that you will have to invest in for your MBA program. Maybe let me just see if you guys are in the ballpark or you understand what exactly is required. Just type in on the chat window. That will also give me an idea that you're all listening to me. Okay, Akash says 50 lakhs. Okay. Others, please type in. What do you think is going to be your investment? Okay, so Ella says 100 USD, Kritika says 80 lakhs, Sharina says 150K. Okay, USD Thirmal. Okay, perfect. So I think we are all on the same page. So it's not going to be a shocker for any of you because you guys have done a little bit of background and you understand. Thanks, Arvind, Akash, Andy. Great. Awesome. So let's deep dive into this aspect, and we will go slightly more granular, and I will get Sakshi and Ritika to chip in wherever they feel they have anything more to talk about, right? So let me just start with giving you an idea on how does this actually look when you're looking at these school websites, right? So say for example, I just put one for Stanford over here on what is the typical tuition fee. I've also put Foster over here, and I've also put the other school over here where you get an idea of, or UC Davis, which is a slightly lower ranking school, on what is typically the cost over a year, right? So if you look at the website of these schools for the first year MBA, they have this single student, married student kind of a bifurcation over here, where they talk about living expenses, housing, medical insurance, and health fee, and they give a total number of how much would it cost, right? Sakshi and Ritika, your points, anything that you feel. So on the living costs only, because we are going to get on the tuition fee only, because I'm going to get on to the living costs and I'm going to talk about the other costs in my other slides. But any thing that you want to talk about here, because both of you are from US schools. Any thoughts on this? Because I think this special side is more for you guys to kind of give your inputs.
I would say this is a very accurate depiction of what a yearly fee looks like, and it all depends on, as you said, ranking as well. So higher rank schools generally have higher fees as compared to lower rank schools. Again, it also depends on which geographic location you are in. Like I am currently in Midwest, so Midwest I would say is still less expensive. Like especially I'm in Wisconsin, it is it is less expensive as compared to New York or West Coast like California or Seattle. So it all also depends on geographical location. So yeah.
Right. Ritika, your thoughts?
Sakshi mentioned exactly what I was going to talk about. A, the school ranking matters. B, the location matters. If it's California, if it's the West Coast, and even the East Coast, prices vary a lot.
Right, right. I want to just go ahead with some other geographies also. This is specifically for Europe, and I've picked the most applied schools, especially the people that we work with. Mostly are the people who are applying to these top schools. So you're looking at RSM in Netherlands, for example, HEC Paris, which is again, the cost over there, and obviously London Business School, right? Again, these are top schools across Europe and UK for that matter. The other aspect, another set of schools that you look at, people apply to are, if you're looking at the APAC region, so you look at NUS, which is again a 17-month program, which will cost you around 91K Sing dollars, HQST and ISB in India. Again, ISB in India this year, I'll talk more about when we get onto the scholarships part, but this is pretty much more like an approximate number of what it would cost you when you're looking at schools in this range. Other schools in India that people apply to, obviously, I am ABC. These are again schools that are the most applied schools. These are all one-year programs, specifically that people apply through GMAT. So these are the ballpark range for these particular schools in India also. All right. And then Canada. Canada is again another geography that most people apply to. Again, I'm picking schools which are the top ones. So Rotman is in Toronto. Ivy again is in a place called London, which is an hour from Toronto. And then we have UBC, which is Sauder, which is another school that most people apply to. And this is pretty much the ballpark rate. Canada this year, I've seen more from the geographical location also and some economic situations in Canada where housing is a big problem over there right now. So they have kind of limited their intake this year. So if you're looking at Canada as an option, you might want to evaluate and kind of read up a little bit more on what's happening and research a little bit more before you take Canada as an option this year, right? So this is more on the tuition fee part of it. Now let's get on to the living expenses part of it. And again, I want Sakshi and Ritika to chip in here. Here we've spoken about textbooks and laptop and generally, the rental accommodation fees, the food, the personal expenses, public transportation, if you really have to commute a lot while you are doing your program, and then health insurance aspect of it. So what are your thoughts on these costs? Any inputs over here? Either of you. Maybe Sakshi can start with first.
So yeah, this is a quite accurate depiction again. I would say that so my living costs are a little less as compared to Ritika, I would say, because being in Midwest and again in Wisconsin. Again, it all depends on your lifestyle as well, like what kind of lifestyle you want to have even in US. So based on that, your cost will depend. Again, there is one more thing like yeah, health insurance is there. Then public transportation, in my understanding, like my university provides us this passes through which we can easily commute over the city without paying anything because we have this free passes. So that is not an expense for me, to be honest. Like it's if I want to use Ola or like Uber or Lyft, then that is something which I have to give from my own. So it all depends on how what kind of lifestyle you want to have, but I would say yeah, this is a very clear depiction.
Interesting. How about you, Ritika?
If I'm not wrong, this is exactly from our university's website, isn't it? The one
Yeah.
on the left. Yeah. It's kind of same. For me, the rent that I pay would be less than that. Actually, it's exactly how Sakshi said. It does depend upon how lavishly you want to live or not. I share my place with three other women, so it's a little less. I pay around rent plus utilities $1,200 per month. And yes, it's the same for especially in Seattle, the public transport is amazing. It's well connected, so you can use the buses here and the rail here, and we get a bus transportation card which you can use for free. I wouldn't say free, it's kind of part of your fee in general. So if, for example, if I am not for the summers when we have our vacations, we are not enrolled in the university, we don't get that. We can't use it. So you have to pay for your transportation that time. You do have to take some cabs sometimes, so do keep in mind those expenses as well. Yeah, but other than that, it's pretty much accurate. You do have the MBA association also, which is expensive, which sometimes people don't consider as part of the tuition.
Right. So tell me a little bit more about this MBA association membership. Like
Yeah.
what does it entail and what do you do in this MBA association?
So, at every schools you have clubs and associations. For example, your tech club, you have consulting club based on the industries, based on so they basically help you out with your recruitment. They help you out with your interview prep. They help you out in various ways. And these clubs and associations are core part of your MBA journey. At least it is at Foster. I'm not sure how it is for Sakshi. For us, that's important part, and everybody is supposed to take it. Like it's not optional. It's
Right.
mandatory. You pay for the MBA association, and plus you also pay for each club that you want to be part of.
Okay.
And
Interesting.
also, these clubs and associations give you that chance to showcase your leadership skills. So when you go, so for first year, you can be a first year rep. For second year, you can be, president, co-president, and part of the leadership board. And you as a student would lead these clubs. So they're very integral to your MBA journey, I would say, and they are expensive.
Right. Sachi, you have anything to chip in?
Yeah, so we also like I think that is true. Every MBA school has these different types of clubs, right? The tech product club or the consulting club. I am the president of the consulting club, but the only difference here is that my university doesn't charge us anything to join the clubs. It's totally
Okay.
free. So anybody can join it, like, and if you want to participate at any US-wide competitions like consulting case or product case, and if they have any sort of fees, I think that's the only fee you need to incur. But mostly what we try to do, even like as a president of my club, we do get funding from the university itself, so we don't end up charging students for any of the competitions we do. So for all the like all the intra-school competitions, we make it free. And if there is some inter-school competition, then I guess that's the only fee students have to pay. Again, one more thing I would like to add here is that every class has different ways. Like some people, some of the professors prefer teaching you via like textbooks or something like that, or they have their own course packs. But then there are some professors who, expect you to buy this Harvard course packs or any sort of, all this Harvard, Stanford, and all these universities have their own set of course pack, which some professors prefer using at my MBA school. So that is something which again you need to pay. So I would say that would be around like 200 to 300 dollars per year. That is again a consider like in your overall expenses.
Interesting, interesting. That's a great, I mean, both great insights. This might not be something that probably you knew when you were applying for an MBA, is what I assume, right? So that's great. So yeah, so I want to give an idea on when I'm looking at North America, and like Sakshi and Ritika both mentioned also about where, say for example, if you're looking at NYU Stern or Columbia or, Cornell, again, both of them mentioned about how the cost is more based on the geographical location, because obviously these are extremely expensive cities. Again, when you're looking at the Valley, you're looking at UCLA, or you're looking at Stanford, where you're looking at Toronto, Canada especially, you're looking at Rotman, Schulich kind of schools. Europe, again, London being a very expensive city, that's also something. London Business School, if you're looking at applying to, that's one aspect of it. Paris, again, if you're looking at HEC in Paris, that's again a cost. IESC, if you're looking at Barcelona, or ESA as they call it. APAC, again, when you're looking at Singapore, if you're applying to NUS, NTU, SMU kind of schools, these are also other schools that you're looking at applying. Again, Singapore is a very expensive city. Similar to what Ritika mentioned, it will cost you around 1,200 Sing dollars typically when you're looking at applying to, or when you're staying in Singapore. Hong Kong, again, HKUST kind of an option. Hyderabad, obviously, ISB. Just to give you, I mean, converted into rupees, how much would it cost? I would say account for at least around 8 lakh kind of a thing over a year when you're looking at the cost, especially for living expenses, right? Then there is another set of experiences, which is an investment, which is extremely important. So, yeah, Sakshi, you had anything to add?
I would say that living expenses will go a little higher, especially it went for me. So I would say you have to consider somewhere in between 10 to 15 lakhs.
Oh, okay, okay, okay. So go higher in what sense?
I don't know, like overall, uh, it could be your rent as well, or sometimes also there are also a lot of events happening in the US universities, like a lot of parties happening. There also, I feel, you end up spending a little amount of money because you want to like you want to show that you are also invested into few things. So I would say that is again an area where I ended up spending a lot of money. Like there is like in our university we have all this Halloween parties or balls, winter ball, spring ball. So these are again some miscellaneous expenses which you need to consider. Again, it's not like you will also go somewhere, right? Over a year, there are tech trips happening. Like I went to two of the tech trips. I We went to Brazil for one of the tech trips, and then we went to Seattle for another tech trip. So that is again one thing you need to consider. Like if you decide to go on these tech trips, so I would say my living expenses were somewhere in between 10 to 15 lakhs.
Right. Right. So yeah, so I think like Sakshi mentioned more from the experience of an MBA, which becomes more important. And I remember speaking to Ritika about it, and she spoke about all the coffee meetings she needs to have, and all the when I say parties, it's more like networking aspects that you need to focus on. Ritika, your thoughts on these aspects, which is experiencing the MBA, which everybody talks about a lot, because everybody, I know as an international student, it becomes very important for us to focus on the job aspect of it. And when you are there and when you're looking at an MBA, this also becomes a very important aspect of your entire journey, rather something that can lead you to the right role you're looking at. Yeah, your thoughts, Ritika, on this, and what kind of treks and all that you have looked at while at coffee.
Um, Sakshi said it completely. She was right. And we also spoke about it last time, right? A very, very important part of your MBA journey, and one of the reasons why I wanted to get an MBA is to build that solid network. You're in a cohort who are going to be your, support group for years and years to come, not just personally and in a professional settings as well, mostly in professional settings. So you want to make sure that you're investing in it, which means coffee chats, which means sometimes going out and going for lunches. Um, by parties, yes, it's mostly networking. You have these huge events at schools like Halloween party, you're gonna have Diwali party, you're gonna celebrate different cultures of people. You're coming here for a global MBA. So you should be very, very much aware that there are gonna be a lot of parties. And yes, it's not compulsory for you to do, but you would want to do it. You've come that far, you have invested so much money, you don't want to lose out on that aspect of it, definitely. And there's going to be travels. We have our study abroad, tours at school. I did not personally go for one, but we have a lot of opportunities like that, which a lot of students do end up going. So
Right.
yes, coffee is expensive here. It's not like Europe. It costs a lot. Uh, food is expensive here. So you do have to, I would suggest, which I did, was talk to a lot of alums to the school I was targeting and getting like a very, very detailed, very, very nuanced breakdown of what is going to cost and how much it's going to cost. I literally went to how much is going to grocery cost? Okay, how many times do you go out every month or every week? How many coffee chats do you do per week? And then you kind of look up how much does coffee cost you. So that's literally what I did for a week. I'm not gonna lie. Because I wanted to make sure I was financing it personally. I didn't want to get a loan. So I wanted to understand whether it's something that I can do on my own or not. And that meant that finer details about exactly how I'm gonna finance this entire journey. So
Awesome. Awesome. So yeah, so I hope, for others who are listening, this is something that they can keep in mind. And like I said, anxiety comes when there is fear of unknown. So I want to kind of make sure there is no unknown for you guys, and you have a very good understanding of how we can plan this for you, right? And then again, I want to add to this, there's also opportunity cost, which is the 2 years of when you're not going to see the salary notification on your on your WhatsApp or on your SMS messages every month. And I remember talking to some B school alums very recently, and they had graduated and they started their job after an MBA. And I said, what's the best thing about your MBA plan? And they said, well, seeing that notification again is something that I'm really enjoying. So yeah, so I completely understand what goes through in the mind of most people here, and especially when you're out of your comfort zone, you're in a foreign land, you're completely looking at building your next step of your career. So it's definitely a lot more challenging for you guys, but it'll be important for you to keep that also in mind. I just put a ballpark number of adding this part as an opportunity cost for you, right? Um, all right. So next, I want to get into the scholarship part. And a lot of people, when they even reach out to me in the beginning itself, they said, "Okay, can I get a scholarship?" And the first thing I want to tell you is, there is no school that can guarantee you a scholarship. But there are a lot of scholarship options that are available, and especially both Ritika and Sakshi. And I remember Sakshi had planned this very well, that she was very clear about the kind of schools she wanted to apply to, because she knew that she was very clear about her end goal, and she said these are the schools that can help me get there. And she was, that is the focus she had, and she wanted to make sure that what are the kind of scholarships she can focus on based on her profile and based on her background. Same with Ritika, and I think I want both of them to talk about their scholarship aspects. What did they apply for? By the way, every school, if you go to the school's website, you will have a list of scholarships that are listed over there. You can look at your fitment. There are some scholarships specifically for women. There are some scholarships specifically for people in tech. There are some scholarships specifically for people in social entrepreneurship or social impact. There are some merit excellence scholarship. In fact, Ritika had got one scholarship about a non-resident scholarship or something like that. Maybe you would want to talk a little bit more about that aspect also, right? So maybe I can, you can talk a little bit about the scholarships you got, and tell me a little bit more about the Forte scholarship also, and how did you approach it? And also this non-resident tuition differential waiver that you got. So yeah.
So for me, so for my scholarship process was very similar to my application process. Whatever essays that I wrote for my application were exactly so I don't have a different process for my scholarship, is what I want to say. The essays that I wrote for my applications were what they used for filtering me out for the scholarship as well. The scholarship I got was the Forte Fellowship. So it's an organization that helps women in business across US, across Canada and Europe. So schools give out these scholarship every year to women through Forte Fellow program. I was awarded a program fellowship of, I think, 1,100, 1,200, yes, 1,200 per year. something around that number. And it was per year for the 2 years of your MBA program. But I also got a non-resident tuition waiver. What it means that I my tuition fee was lowered to an in-state resident tuition rates during the duration of 2 years. So basically, if you're a member of Washington State, you get a different tuition fee versus if you're not. So I got a resident tuition fee. And overall, that was, I think, 18,000. Yes, it's 18,000 per year of sorts. So overall, it turned out to be around, I believe, 28,000 or 29,000, something of that sort.
Okay.
Overall, yeah,
You
those
apply
numbers are
separately?
correct, I think.
Did you have to apply separately for these scholarships
No,
or?
I did not. Like I said, the application that I put in, the interview processes that happened, the essays that I wrote for the school itself were what they used for the scholarship as well.
Right.
So I got it through those.
Right. So Sakshi, your strategy was different, and you got a list of scholarships from all the different schools that you applied to before you actually, finalized on Wisconsin as your choice of school. What was your process? Did you go through something slightly different? Did you apply to different, like, did you write essays for these scholarships? What did you actually apply for?
So there was no separate process to apply for scholarship as Ritika mentioned. It was quite the same. Like whatever essays you submit, your universities has some connections with all these institutions which end up providing scholarships. So you don't have to separately apply. So my strategy was that I would say first step is research. See where you think that you fit well based on your GMAT score. And again, just based on that, just filter your schools where you think you have a better chance of getting a scholarship as like admit as well as the scholarship. That would be the first step. Second step is that once you get the scholarship, like once you get the admit, in your admit, obviously the scholarship and everything would be mentioned. There is again one option is that you can negotiate with them, which most of the students don't know. I feel most of the students don't end up doing that. And I feel that that really helped me because I negotiated. Once I knew that this particular university is interested in me, I tried to negotiate with them. So there are two outcomes. Either they will give you a better scholarship if they have anything to offer, and if not, then they will at least give you some information about alternate funding sources. So that is again one thing you can try. And third thing I would say is that research about TA, teaching assistantships or research assistantship. So for me, I got the business Women in Business Excellence as a Merit Award. This was a scholarship was offered by Wisconsin. This is the initial amount which I got. It was, I would say, 25% of my MBA tuition fee. Then, as I said, I negotiated with them and I was able to, I got, so this was like 25%. I ended up getting 50% after negotiating with them. And after talking to some of the alums, I got to know that there is some, like, if you end up getting a TA, Wisconsin is one of the universities which end up giving you tuition waiver if you are doing a TA or a research assistantship. So then that was a great news for me. So I ended up applying to a lot of TA opportunities when I was in India, like before coming here from MBA. So I ended up giving some interviews and I got the TA. So eventually I ended up getting a full scholarship for my MBA. So I didn't have to pay anything. Plus I was getting the stipend for the TA work I was doing. So that's how it happened, and I ended up so that's why I ended up choosing Wisconsin because I actually had to spend nothing on my MBA. Whatever I spent was more onto the living expenses, or I would say like as I say, the quality of life you want in the US. So that was like my strategy. Like I knew that this is my score and these are the universities where I would fit in. So based on that, I applied, and I tried to, so when I was negotiating with them, I tried to show them that what unique value I can add to their cohort. And I think that really helped me. I would say don't try to sound very, desperate for scholarships in that negotiating email. Make sure that you're using a very confident tone and try to convey that how uniquely you fit into their cohort and what value you can bring for them. And I think most of the times it works. Admission committees, they are there to help you. They also want students in their MBA cohort from diverse backgrounds, and they are especially interested in hiring Indians. So just be confident and like have the courage to ask for what you think you deserve, I would say.
Absolutely. And I think this is a very interesting point that Sakshi made. And a lot of us, we fear. I mean, this is, I've noticed this where they get an admit and then say, is it okay to ask for scholarship? Can I ask for more? Can I negotiate for more? You can absolutely do that, right? And that is the skill that you want to show them also, your negotiation skills, right? So it's absolutely okay to negotiate. It's absolutely okay. And they're not going to take back your admit if you negotiate on that, right? So that cannot happen. So typically what happens is if you have multiple admits and if you are one school that you're very keen on, you can write to that school saying that, hey, I've got an admit from this school, but I'm more keen on your school. So can you provide me with some amount of scholarship that can ease my decision to join you rather than the other guys, right? So it's absolutely possible. So that should be definitely something you should be focusing on. Other than that, there are internships that you could focus on. So a lot of these schools, for the internships that you get, these are paid internships. So that is also one level of how do you pay back or how do you manage your finances. That is one aspect that you could look at. There are some pre-MBA courses that you could look at. So McKinsey has something called a early access. There are some other course that Amazon also has, which is you can do. It's like a pre-MBA kind of course. On LinkedIn, there are so many pre-MBA internships. So especially for people who have got admits and are waiting to join the program, there are a lot of pre-MBA internship options that also come up. And then there are term time projects. So some schools give you an option to actually take 60 days off from the course to do like one project with some company, which is a paid option. So these are also options that people can avail and they get. And like Sakshi mentioned on the TAGAs, this is typically, see, in most top schools, this might not be possible. Also because it's too rigorous and you don't have time for anything. But there are few schools like Sakshi mentioned where GAs and TAs are a possibility and you can look at and you can take out time for those aspects, right? So this could be something that you could look at and evaluate and understand when you're planning to apply to these schools, right? So anything on this, on any other things that you remember or on the internships aspect, either of you, if you could just, if you have anything to add over here on term time projects or internships, how does that work?
So internship.
Yeah,
Oh,
Sakshi,
sorry.
go ahead.
So yeah, you are right. Internship is again one way wherein you get paid. But as far as I know, internship is only allowed in summer. That too for 3 months. I think for second year you can maybe think about doing a part-time, but most of the people prefer not to because they're focusing more onto the MBA. But yeah, internships, there are paid internships available. Again, that depends on which location you end up getting. So I did it in SF, San Francisco, West Coast. So in West Coast, generally you get paid more as compared to other locations. But yeah, it all depends on what type of internship you are doing. And mostly I feel that MBA internships are well paid.
Right. Ritika?
Same for me. I did my internship this summer at Z as it's a consulting firm. And yes, we do. I mean, MBA folks, we do get paid pretty well for internship. So that covers a lot of your tuition fees also, and quite a lot of your for me, it covered my 3/4 of tuition, I would say.
Okay.
So it does, it's a pretty good, it has a pretty good ROI, I would say. And then you can definitely do your part-time for second year, because second year comparatively to first is more easier on the academic side, I would say. You're more focused on getting a job for full time. If you are an intern, you kind of you hope to get converted into a full-time employee. If not, then you would start looking for other opportunities. So second year is more about you have a lot of time to get a part-time as well. So
All
that's one way to earn money.
Interesting, interesting. So yeah, so I think these insights also give you an idea on how these things can be managed well. Sakshi mentioned, from getting free bus passes or transport options in schools to also managing through the internship options to the TAGA in very specific schools that you're looking at. I think those are also some things that you could look at of how you can manage this. So it's not doable, right? It is something that you have options for, and you can really evaluate those options as you go for an MBA program. Now let's go to the next important part, which is financing, and that is where I have Aman. So I have been, we've been associated with Gyandan for a long time. I've literally seen them grow and doing amazing things. So Aman, over to you. Maybe you could talk about how can the student loan part be managed, especially, and what is the best way to look at it? When should they start thinking about it? And how could you help evaluate that also for the people who are applying?
Sure. So, actually, I want to start with saying that the schools that we are discussing in this particular webinar, uh, if you get admit to those, or and specifically any top 100 MBA schools out there, so financing is not an issue. So I can guaranteedly say to you that financing is not going to be an issue for you. You will be able to, at least if not scholarship, then get the loans very easily for the schools that we are discussing here. So the focus should be primarily getting into the top school out there from the long term perspective, and not to optimize for $5,000-10,000 here and there. Having said that, so the question you asked that, okay, what is the best time to think about loans, right? So I would like to start with a very interesting fact. So 45% of our users who check loan eligibility on our website are checking it for 2 years down the line. So people usually, start their uh, exploring journey along with the, okay, what kind of admits and school I can get into, but they, at the same time, they also want to sort of think around that, okay, hey, uh, is it possible to get that kind of money? And specifically, a lot of students want to understand that, okay, hey, can I get it without collateral? What kind of paperwork that would be required? So these are the few things that students do check in early. So my recommendation to the students in general is that, or the candidates in general is that, okay, whenever you are starting and exploring things, there are few things you should check at the start only. One is, okay, if you have 4 or 5 colleges in mind, check the eligibility for those 4 or 5 colleges whenever you are applying. Second, do check your CIBIL score. At times, students are usually not aware what's happening uh, at the CIBIL end. And when they apply and application is in process, and at that time they get to know that, okay, hey, oh, I took that small loan, somehow I missed payments on that, and that's why my credit score has went down. So such things, these are the few checklists that you have to check early in the cycle, so that if there are any red flag surprises, you can find out upfront. So actually, I would want to start with the very basics of the financing. So I think if you can get to the next slide, yeah. So typically speaking, there are two kinds of loan. One is, and it's very obvious with the name secured loan, unsecured loan, where one kind of loan you take where you have to give some collateral security to the lender, and the other kind where you don't have to give any collateral or any security. And one can guess that, okay, hey, when you are giving security to the bank, the risk for the banks are lower, and thus the loans with security comes at a very low interest rate compared to loan without security. The loan without security, there the approval depends on the country you are going, the college you are going, your competitive exam scores. If you're giving GRE, GMAT, so higher you score, easier it is to get the approval. But again, the unsecured loans has a higher rate of interest as compared to the secured loan. If I go in little bit details, which is the next slide. Uh, so typically, so this chart, I think this is where I would want to spend most of my time. Uh, so even in unsecured loan, there are two kinds of loan that you can take. One is unsecured loan from Indian lenders, and other is unsecured loan from international lenders. Uh, so let's talk about all of this. So what is the difference between Indian lenders and international lender? The difference primarily would boil down to that the Indian lenders will require a co-applicant. So Indian lenders will require you to have somebody from your family becoming a co-borrower and who is supposed to be in India. So that is where it boils down to between Indian lenders and international lender. International lenders, practically speaking, giving money primarily on your profile. So and the main factor there is again the college you are going to. That is, there is a list of colleges for which you get the financing easier. Now, it may sound like that, hey, international lenders loan is good because, okay, hey, they are giving you basis your profile, less paperwork. Your parents or your family don't need to be involved in the financials, and you can literally make your own choices. But at the same time, uh, the international lenders are giving you money in dollars or in euro, and actually that is for particularly for the Indian students or developing country students, that comes out to be costlier. So for example, the Indian lenders giving you loan at 11.25%, whereas let's say international lender giving you at 11.5%. It used to be way lower. It has increased in last couple of years as the Fed has increased the rates. Now, for somebody who has taken a loan from the Indian lender, if you are working in US, Europe, or out there, um, and the Indian currency depreciates, you can look at last 20-25 year chart. It is because there is a difference in the free money rate in both the markets. So the Indian currency will depreciate in longer run. So if you're taking a loan for 5 years, 7 years, today one USD is 80 to 83. It may go to 90, 95. So for the same number of dollars that you earn or same number of euros that you earn out there, you can repay your loan, Indian loan faster, or Indian lender loan, Indian rupee loan faster. And usually speaking, this 11.5% that you see from the international lender, that practically speaking goes to 14, 15, 16%, depending on how much currency fluctuation is there. Uh, so that's why the Indian lender unsecured loans are better compared to the international lender. Though Indian lenders will have more paperwork and will require your somebody from the family as the co-applicant. That's that. Having said that, if I compare secured versus unsecured, now as I already mentioned that the secured loan, because the risk for the lenders are lower, the rates will be way lower. So right now it is mentioned here as 10.15, 10.16%, but there are other discounts that you get on the top of it. It can go down to as low as 9.6, 9.7%, which is obviously way lower than 11.25 and 11.5%. And the difference is not just this 2%, which right now might be looking at, okay, 2%, but think around it, you are taking a loan of 80 lakh, 1 crore. So 2% reducing rate difference for 5 years, 7 years comes out like more than 10 lakh rupees ka difference in interest. So the way one should look at it, okay, the first question they need to ask themselves, okay, hey, do I have a property? Or in anybody from my family has a property? Parents, siblings, any relative. Even in fact, we've helped students where friends had property, and on that also we got the loan done. So somehow, if you can arrange property, then public sector banks, secured loans are the best way to go. it is no-brainer because their interest rate is lower, processing fee is not there. You are not supposed to pay anything while you study. Your repayment starts after you graduate. So everything boils down, or everything is on the positive side when it comes to the secured loan from the public sector banks. The only negative thing is uh, paperwork and timeline that it takes, and that is where Gyandhan come into the picture, where uh, we walk you through the journey. We are with you throughout the journey end to end. So I think that's that. If I just have to go in little bit more details, unsecured loan will have a higher processing fee, more additional costs compared to secured loan. So that's that. If we can move to the next slide. So if just comparing these two, secured loans will be no-brainer, uh, specifically for the Indian students who has some sort of collateral in their family. Uh, Another thing, at times, let's say there are credit score issues or any other kind of issues in the profile. But if you are giving a property, then that can be let go. So let's say if your credit score is on the lower side, but you are giving a property and you are going to a good college. So bank will say, okay, take it. Matlab, you have had issues in your credit score in the past, but you're going to a good school. You are, giving us property or security. We are happy to lend you money. And at times, uh, it happens that parents' credit score comes to the picture because here the property belongs to them in most of the cases. So, whatever the red flags in the profile, if any, when it comes to the financial evaluation, having a property will simply make things very easy. And at the end of the day, you will have a best loan out there as compared to other loans in the market. Uh,
So, Aman, I have a question
yeah.
here. So, there are
Yes.
some schools like Kellogg, which has their own financing options that they provide, and the interest rates also are much lower, especially for international students.
Yeah.
How do those kind of loans compare to maybe taking from?
This, yeah, this specific Kalo program loan, that is better for that particular school. So
Hmm.
in that case, I will suggest that don't look at any lender, international or otherwise. Just go and get that because literally they are giving much discounted price to the students there. So schools, but there are not many school specific loan programs. Kellogg is an exception out there in general. Yeah.
Yeah. And when does this whole repayment start? Does it start after the program, 2 months
Right.
after the program? When do they have to start bothering about it?
Right. So, depends on the kind of loan. So, if you're taking a collateral loan from public banks, such as SBI, Bank of Baroda, uh, there your repayment starts after you graduate plus 6 months. So, it's very comfortable around that. But if you're taking an unsecured loan from the Indian lender, they actually they actually want you to pay a token amount every month. So they say that you pay 10,000 rupees per month uh, till 3 years. Let's say if you're going for a 2-year MBA course, and then your EMI starts. So it depends on what kind of loan you are taking, but majority of the repayment starts 6 months or 1 year after you graduate.
Right, right. Cool. Um,
I
so
think there are. Hmm, yeah.
this slide you've already spoken about, right?
I already spoke. Yeah. Yeah, I think one thing I have not spoken yet is the tax benefits. So when we were earlier comparing Indian lenders and international lenders, uh, so we mentioned that taking Indian loans or Indian rupee loan will be better. Another factor that supports that particular recommendation is the tax benefit that you get when you take the loan from the Indian lenders. So let's say when you are abroad and you are anyway, the interest will be charged and your co-applicant will be there. So your father don't have to pay tax on the interest. So the effective interest rate comes to be very low. In fact, we have had many HNIs taking loans for their child who are going abroad, and they primarily do it because their CAs recommended for the tax saving purposes. So education loan is a very good vehicle for tech saving as well. On the top of that, there is something called TCS that was introduced in the last uh, uh, budget. So what that means is that if you're transferring more than 7 lakh rupees in a year abroad, there will be a tax deduction at source by the Indian government of 20%. Now you can claim it back, but in the short term, you will have liquidity issue. If you have to send 10 lakh rupees, you will have to like prime, you'll have to arrange 12 lakh rupees because 2 lakh rupees will be deducted here as the TCS. So, but the same amount, if you are passing it through education loan, it is just 0.5%. So that TCS also is not there. So this tax benefit is another factor that students or people need to take into consideration when comparing Indian lenders with international lenders.
Mm, right.
Yeah.
How does Gyandan help in this whole process? And I have, one more question, which is Drumil has asked, how does
Yeah.
does money come to their account, or if they get scholarship? Because in most cases, the loan application goes before they get to know about the scholarship options, or like Sakshi mentioned that she got the TAGA, once she got there. So in such cases, how does this work?
Right.
Can you repay, or can they say, I don't want any more? How does this work?
Right. So good thing about education loan is it's being specifically designed for the students, right? So now let's say if you're taking a home loan of 50 lakh rupees, you have to take that 50 lakh rupees on day one, and the interest will be charged, and EMI you will have to pay from the next month. But in education loan, what happens is at the start you get a sanction amount. So you can apply for 80 lakh rupees, 1 crore rupees, whatever you think. And we recommend people to apply for the higher amount because you never know the expenses. Like earlier, Sakshi and Ritika were mentioning that there were unthought expenses that came that they did not account for at the start, or students usually don't account for at the start. So you can get a higher amount sanctioned, but disbursement is on your end. So let's say first semester, you just need 20 lakh rupees out of it. So you just take out 20 lakh rupees, and on the interest and everything will be charged on that 20 lakh rupees only. So it's like bank has given you a credit limit कि आप 80 lakh तक withdraw कर सकते हैं, but it is up to you how much do you want to withdraw, when do you want to withdraw. So at times we have seen that people actually only use 65 to 70% of the loan amount that they usually apply for. So in the typical, if I just talk about general study abroad space, so typically people take 40 lakh rupee loan and end up using 25 lakh rupees only. And there is no penalty on that, nothing. It's like it is a credit limit. You take out whatever you need and just pay interest on that only, and your EMI will also be calculated accordingly. Uh, so that's how this entire thing gets managed. You can always prepay. So there is a limit of 6 months, which is practically nothing. Uh, so after 6 months, you can always prepay. There is nothing like it. In fact, usually when you take an education loan or when you apply for an education loan, it is for 7, 10, or 15 years. But typically people repay it in 3 to 5 years after graduation. Actually, on lower side only 3 years only. Uh, so there is no prepayment penalty as such. People get joining bonuses or year-end bonuses, and they do one shot payments and prepay it early. So that's that. I think there was another question. How does money come? So depending on the lender. So again, I will divide it into Indian lenders and international lenders. So for the Indian lenders, primarily the tuition fee they will directly transfer to the university. So when you say I need a tuition fee of 20 lakh rupee, 30 lakh rupee, you just need to give them a demand letter, which usually you get from the university. You give it to the lender, and the account details will be mentioned, or through whatever way they want the payment. There are companies like Flywire now, which is making international transfer easy. So many university takes money through that. So uh, the tuition fee is directly transferred to the university. from the Indian lenders, and the living expenses you can get in your account. There are prepaid cards that they give you, which and they transfer the money into that. So even the uh, living expenses also you can divide it into 4 semesters so that you don't have to take everything upfront. You just take whatever you need and use it, and then take it again. And that cycle you can repeat, and optimize your interest repayments as well. For the international lender, usually international lenders have direct tie-up with the universities. So they transfer everything to the university, and then including the living expenses, and then the living expenses university transfer it to you. So that's how it works, but it is very streamlined in general. Over the years, it has become easier for the students to take money. Usually, in a couple of days, it comes to your account whenever you are demanding it.
Right. Perfect.
Yeah.
Mm.
And I think the scholarship, I think that part is also now covered, because if you, again, at the start, you estimate the highest expense, get your loan sanction accordingly. And let's say if you get the scholarship, TA-ship, RA-ship, good internship, and if you don't need money, don't disburse it. That's it. And only disburse whatever you need and pay on it.
Mm. And how does this work for Indian schools in case of unsecured loans? So that is another question that is there. Any thoughts on that?
So, for Indian schools, again, there is nothing that changes much. It is, like, for example, for ISB, IAMs, there the process is much easier as compared to for the international schools. So, if you get into ISB, literally banks will be standing right in front of there, giving you loans in 1 hour, 2 hour. Uh, Specifically, they will have branches in the campus itself to do that process for you. So the loan product and everything remains the same. The only thing is that the interest rate will be much lower. So, for example, for ISB, because Indian banks associate with them and all of that, you get interest rate as low as 8.3, 8.5%. So, which is literally the FD rates out there that you can get. So it's very much sorted for Indian B schools, top Indian B schools.
Right, right.
Yeah.
Awesome. So I just want to, put in here, I've just put in my calendar link. I've opened up my calendar for the next 1 week. So if you're looking at getting any kind of help and understanding a little bit more from Aman's team, please reach out to me. We'll set up those calls. And also,
Yeah.
if you want to understand how you can plan your MBA journey better, please reach out to me. We can also go in for more like a profile evaluation kind of a thing so that we can understand how you can plan this entire journey better, right? All right, so I think that's about it. Any questions from anywhere for any of us? I think we've covered most of it. Thank you so much, Sakshi, Ritika, and Aman, all three of you. I think this session has been extremely insightful for all those people who are watching us on YouTube live too, and the people who have attended this sessions. I hope this was helpful. Any more questions, please feel free. We'll be here for another couple of minutes. We are 6 minutes a little overboard, but I really appreciate both Sakshi and Ritika of joining us at this time of the day for them. But yeah, anyone else, please let me know. How did you find this session? Any questions? Thank you, Ruchira. Thank you so much. Okay, I think we have no more questions. We've been pretty much very explanatory in terms of how we have gone through this entire session. And I think all of you have had a good idea. Thank you so much again, all of you, for being part of this session. And yeah, thank you so much. And we'll definitely catch up again. Thank you, guys. Thank you, Aman. Thank you, Ritika.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Thank
Yeah.
Thank
you. Awesome. Thanks, Radhika. Drumel, it's there on YouTube Live. So you will find it there. The entire thing is there. All right. Thank you, guys.